Planning and Zoning Historic Commission is now in session. We do have letters for people who won't be here, and I'm going to read these off so you'll know who they are. I got a letter from Council Lady Gilmore for approval of Bill 1020, 1039, and 1001. We have also a letter from Council Member Brady Banks to approve bill as a substitute for 2015-1006. We have also a bill from Councilmember Sean McGuire, which is Bill 1003 for approval. And we also have a letter from Councilmember Pradmore for the bill of approval of 1018, 1019, and 1021. And we also have a letter from Councilman, I believe, Scott Davis, approval for Bill 989. And that's the letters for approval. Now, looking at the agenda, we also have a letter. The first one on the agenda is Scott Davis, which we have a letter to approve. It's an ordinance to change from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 1219, 1221 North 5th Street to permit up to 7 dwelling units. Is there a motion? Second? All in favor? All opposed? Bill 989 is approved. The next item is Bill 2015-1018. It's a bill from Westerholm, Pradmore, and others. It's an ordinance approving a lease agreement between Metro and Nashville Classical Incorporated. Is there a motion? Second? Questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Bill 1018 is approved. The next item is Bill 2015-1019, Pradmore, Hunt, and Anthony Davis. This is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Properties Administration to execute the attached special warranty deed from Metro conveying to the state a portion of 2 parcels of land at the northwest corner of 38th Avenue North and Charlotte Avenue. Is there a motion? Second? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 1019 is approved. Next item is Bill 2015-1020. It's an bill sponsored by Gilmore, which is an ordinance to amend GIS Street and Alley Center Lines layout for Metro by abandoning a portion of the alley number 160 right-of-way. Is there a motion? Questions or comments? All in favor? 1020 is approved. The next bill is Bill 2015-1021. It's a bill by Moore, Pradmore, and others, and it's an ordinance authorizing Metro to acquire various easements and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for Leland Lane and Kirkwood Avenue sidewalks improvement. We have a letter to approve from Council Lady Moore. Is there a motion? Second? Comments or questions? Seeing none,
Do you have any idea how big a space this is?
wait a minute, let me get you on here. Push your button, please, Claiborne.
The phrase negotiation or condemnation, that makes me nervous. So how much space are we talking about possibly could be condemned?
Okay.
Huh?
Anybody from Public Works here? Mr. Mark. You want to ask the question again, Councilman Pratt? So they can hear it?
Yeah. How much space are we talking about that, according to the wording here, could ultimately or possibly be condemned for?
I don't know the exact square footage, but the whole process to acquire property is to be fair not only to the landowner, but to the taxpayer who's paying for it, to the government. So it's a process that is worked out between the landowner, fair values, and so hopefully everybody breaks even.
But I mean, is this a long space or?
I don't know if I got that information with me, so I don't know. I can answer your question tomorrow. Be happy to do that.
Okay, all right.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? Bill 1021 is approved. The next item is Bill 2015-1022. This is a bill by Anthony Davis and Hunt, an ordinance authorizing Metro to abandon, remove, and replace the various water mains, sewer mains, fire hydrants, and easements located on various properties south of Charlotte Avenue. Is there a motion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Bill 1022 is approved. The next item is 2015-1039. The author is Gilmore. This is an ordinance authorizing Metro to abandon easement rights within a portion of the 11th Avenue South right-of-way between Laura Street and the north right-of-way margin of Pine Street and 11th Avenue South between the south right-of-way margin of Pine Street and 12th Avenue South, and also abandon an easement right within a portion of 11th Avenue and 12th Avenue South right-of-way at the southwest corner of the intersection. Is there a motion? Second? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 1039 is approved. The next item is Bill 2014-948, Wester Home and Davis, an ordinance approving amendment number 3 to 5 Points redevelopment plan. Is there a motion? Second? Comments or questions? Councilman Claiborne.
I'd like to know the sponsor's position on the proposed amendment to this bill.
You want to push your button?
Thank you, Councilman. I have seen the proposed late filed amendment, and I am not supportive of that amendment. That amendment did not reflect the extensive public process that we went through as a community, along with MDHA and the planning department. As I stated at second reading, the amendment that was before and passed at that point in time was a reflection of the consensus reached as a result of those extensive public meetings. So I do not view this as something I would support.
On the front end of this, was this particular property owner aware of the fact that she had the potential for being pushed out of the use of her property?
The owner of that property that you're referring to never had a legal use for the property to do anything other than residential.
But she's been there how long?
I believe the property was purchased in 2013, and I know that they've been in violation of operating a business out of that property for around the last 9 months or so.
But when she purchased the property, didn't she purchase it based on Metro evidence that the use was allowable?
The MDHA Five Points Redevelopment District has been in place for over 20 years and has never allowed anything other than residential for that parcel.
But haven't they recently changed their mapping data from what she originally looked at?
I can't speak to what she was looking at. The map that I've understood, and I'm happy to have MDHA address any questions
We got Mr. Harbison there.
Okay.
If
about
he
the
can-
mapping, but as far as the mapping, I believe that's been steady.
Can we have,
Yeah, Mr. Harbison, can you give us some ideas, shed some light on this issue, please, sir?
Sure. Same thing, we came up on second reading. We worked a long time to get areas of consensus on the overlay. Where we could get consensus, we kept it. We made the changes that we had consensus for. Where we couldn't, we just left it as it was. The district overlay originated in 1990. There's been no changes to it in regards to this property since. And other than that, I probably have to take it for the record. What was the question on?
I have been told that when this owner purchased this property, that she looked at MDHA mapping data that indicated that the use that it's currently being used for was allowable.
You'd have
And
to
that
talk to
since
her.
then, the mapping data has been changed or corrected.
I can get you a copy of our mapping data and show you where that property is. I don't have it with me. I'd be happy to provide that to you tomorrow. I don't know what the owner looked at.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to abstain from vote here.
Are there any more questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Let me see a show of hand, please. We don't have, but all opposed? Bill 1048 is approved. The next item is 2015-1000. This is a bill authored by Anthony Davis, an ordinance to change from RS 7.5 to SP zoning for property located at 1126 Charlton Avenue to permit up to 3 detached residential dwellings units. Is there a motion?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bill 1000 is approved. Next item is Bill 2015-1001. The author is Gilmore. This is an ordinance to change from IR to IG to, from IR and IG to SP zoning for property located at 1226 2nd Avenue North to permit a mixed-use development. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bill 10,001 is approved. The next bill is 2015-10,002. The author is Potts, an ordinance to change from R10 to RS10, zoning for various property located along various street in District 20. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilman Potts.
Thank you, Chair. There should be an amendment that was filed. Substitute, okay. Thank you, that's all.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the substitute? Opposed? Substitute passes. The next bill is 2015-1003. The author is McGuire, an ordinance to change from R40 to SP zoning for property located at 2001 Woodmont Boulevard to permit physical therapy, medical office, and associated uses in the existing building. We do have a letter to approve. Is there a motion? Second? Is it comments or questions? Yes, Councilmember Stanley? You want to push your button, sir?
I just have some concerns about this property being zoned residential. It's going to be rezoned to allow for a mixed-use development or some type of physical therapy, medical office use, something like that. I think it's important that we understand that this is the Green Hills area. This is very, very congested. It's a very congested area of Davidson County. I think it's important that all the residents in this area be maintained as best possible. And I think I would like, if anything, just to have Mr. McGuire, the sponsor of this bill, available to answer any questions I may have. But because he's not available, I would just abstain at this time.
I think we got somebody here to speak on that bill, but before we get to him, Council Lady Allen?
I was just going to say what I know about it, but I'll let him talk.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm Jim Murphy. I represent the developer. This is a property that's the Easter Seals, old Easter Seals office and therapy building at the corner of Woodmont and Hillsborough. So it's not been a residence since the 60s. It's been basically an office / physical therapy use for all that period of time. It's got a swimming pool. It's got physical therapy operations have occurred in there. We had extensive meetings with the neighbors about this. This isn't converting a residence into a non-residential use, but it had never been zoned for anything but residential. And so that's why we're doing the SP, so that we could continue the same type of uses that had been in the property before. So it's not converting a residence, and it's right at the corner of Hillsborough and Woodmont. It's on one side there's a multifamily project existing, and on the other side there's a new multifamily project under construction.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Ms. Murphy, is this the same building at one time was the Easter Seal?
Yes,
And
yes.
they had Easter Seal had a physical therapy attached to that building?
It's in the building, that's correct. And they also had a daycare in the back. The daycare has been split off into a separate parcel, so this property doesn't deal with the daycare. It just deals with the building on the front that was used for their offices and physical therapy.
The reason I ask, because I made a meeting out there some years ago when they was having financial problems. They was trying to figure out what to do with that building. And so this is what they came up with.
Well, it's gone into a separate, they sold it to an owner who tried to operate a facility for senior citizens, a daycare therapy facility for senior citizens, and now they're trying to sell it because they're not making money on that.
So was this a residential area?
This was a residential area, but this building has not been a residence, I think, since the mid-'60s. It was changed for the Easter Seals.
Okay.
At the time, in the 60s, the zoning permitted basically a use for a community facility like the Easter Seals in a residential district with a permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. So they went to the Board of Zoning Appeals and converted it, and then they built, probably in the mid-'80s, early '80s, a big expansion on it where they added a bunch of room for physical therapy and a pool and that kind of stuff. So it's been not used for residential purposes for many, many, many years.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Bill 1003 is approved. The next item is 2015-1005, It's by Councilmember Evans. This is an ordinance to change from RS40 to SP zoning for property located at 5704 Old Harding Pike and to amend a portion of the property rezoned by Council Bill 2013-630 located at 6030B Sedberry Road to up to 4 detached residential units. Is there a motion? I don't have a letter to approve.
Defer by rule.
Yeah, we'll have to because I don't have a letter, and we'll defer it by.
10:05.
Right, deferred by rule for one meeting. Okay, is that right? Next item is Bill 2015. Let me see, all in favor of deferment?
Aye.
Opposed? So we'll approve. Okay. The next item is Bill 2015-1006. This is by Councilmember Banks, an ordinance to change from R40 to SP zoning for various property located along Church Street East, Valley View Road, and Cloverland Drive to permit up to 78 single-family residential units. And I believe this is a substitute. Is that right? Okay. Well, this is a substitute, and are there any questions, comments on the substitute? Go ahead.
I'd just like to inform the council members that this area of Davidson County is in close proximity to Williamson County. And Williamson County has a strong percentage of its workforce commute into Davidson County each day. And what's more, they access these small 2-lane public streets to get to their work. And in addition, there is a lot of residential development in and around this area that is targeted for development. I think it's important that we understand that this property, if it's going to be developed, to be progressive, it cannot have a devaluing effect upon the neighboring properties. And that's what this additional traffic will do. And what's more, there are no upgrades scheduled or substantial upgrades scheduled for the public streets serving this area. There's only going to be a small percentage of public streets that are going to be upgraded by the private interests that are going to be developing this property. So I think it's important that we understand that this property and the neighboring and the subdivision around it, they are very valuable properties. They deliver substantial property tax revenue to the city each year, annually. But I feel if development is allowed to proceed, and this development is going to be 4 times more dense than the existing subdivision. And I think that any devaluing effect that this property has, Metro will see a loss in revenue, property tax revenue from this property. And I think it's, I received information from the engineering firm that did this, and they had a meeting with the steering committee. And of course, I have had substantial connections with the steering committee. And they've informed me that they were not at all appreciative of the fact that this was reduced from 78 units to only 70 units. So this was not a substantial reduction in the number of units that were going to be allowed on this 17 acres. This is going to allow for 4 units per acre. And in and around it, Cloverland Acres subdivision has 1 house per every unit, and the houses average around appraised value of around $350,000. So I think it's important that we consider the effect it's going to have on the resident citizens that pay the annual property tax. And with that, I cannot support this at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Glover?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In looking at this, I think the sponsor, and I wish he was here, but obviously he's not. I think the sponsor has tried to work with the community, et cetera. I just kind of want to address the fact that I think all of us have development that's occurring in our districts. In this situation, if they're building $500,000 homes, I think those people around it are going to actually stand to gain value, is just strictly my opinion. So I don't think there's a devaluation necessarily that's going on. Traffic is a problem. I don't think anyone would argue that point, but I believe that traffic is a problem in my district as it is in almost every council member's district that's sitting on the floor. But as far as a devaluation, I certainly don't see that. Anytime you do this type of development, I know it's challenging, and I know that not everyone's going to be happy with it, but I think for the, if the price of the homes of what I'm hearing is actually what's occurring, then I think an actual increase in value for the area would take place. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hager?
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. I guess my question is, and what I've got more complaints about, is the traffic through there, and I was wondering if somebody could answer the question as to whether anything's going to be done in the future to alleviate the traffic in that area. And I don't know if
We got Attorney Tom White may be able to address that, and I think he's been working on that.
Chairman, thank you. I'll make two comments. The first is I appreciate the comments by Councilmember Stanley. I do want to comment that when he made the reference about property values, I think he is correct that the average for what is out there right now is approximately $350,000. I think that is an accurate number. I think the conservative projections for the houses that are to be built in this development begin at $500,000 to $600,000. So it is significantly higher in value by everybody's count. And that's just not me. That's the people that have studied the area. I've done the legal work. Roy Dale's done the engineering work. Both of us will confirm that there's probably a minimum threshold price of $500,000. With respect to the traffic issues, we are now talking about, under substituted bill, 70 lots. It's the last undeveloped piece in this particular corridor. It sits next to a development which is an apartment complex which has 17 units an acre. This is a 70 unit proposal. With respect to traffic, we've done a traffic study that's done by RPM. It has been turned in. We are committing to do a turning lane. We're committing to do other matters which we discussed with the steering committee, which was reducing the lots from 78 to 70, specifically taking those lots away from Cloverland and Church Street where they faced. With the steering committee, there was one resident that had a property right up against the development. We took away a lot that was right up against them. So we did widen the lots in general. We moved them back further from the street. The density is now lesser than 4 units an acre. There's sidewalks throughout the project. And for Councilman Hager's input, I would confirm that we have made the commitment. We've done the traffic study. We've committed to do that. And thus far, we've met every requirement of Metro government. It wasn't just the Planning Commission that approved us. There was nothing negative from any department. So we did do the study by RPM, Bobby Murphy's group, which is well known and recognized. We've agreed to do what they have recommended. So we appreciate your support this evening. And I understand that this is the substitute, which takes it from 78 to 70. We're asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Ready for a vote? All in favor? On the substitute. Do we have a motion on the substitute? Okay, comments or questions? All in favor of the substitute? Opposed? Who's got one hand? Okay. Thank you, and that's Bill 1006. Okay. That concludes the Planning, Zoning, and Historic Committee agenda. Meeting is adjourned.